What's going on, guys? Justin Fuller, and today I'm going to be reviewing the 2024 Honda CR-V, and there's two important questions I want to go over, and that's one, how is this different from the 2023, and two, how does this stack up to other makes and models out there in the world? So let's hop on in. So let's start off by talking about what's underneath the hood. So I'm gonna pull you on in here. You're looking at a 1.5 liter turboed engine putting out 190 horsepower. Now, in the CR-V compared to the 2023, this is the exact same engine that you would find in the LX model. Now, if you're looking at some of the other trims, such as the hybrids, then you're gonna find a 2-liter engine that's gonna be putting out 204 horsepower. So just something to keep in mind. Now, outside of that, I just wanna point out a couple quick things. Easy access to your terminals, as far as accessing reservoirs, oil, different things like that. Very easy to access. You've got a lot of extra space back here in case you need to run auxiliary lines to run, additional fog lights or a sub or an amp or anything that you would need to get access to the battery or anything else. So as I mentioned, there's 190 horsepower coming out of this 1.5 liter turboed engine, running to that CVT and then out to the powertrain, right? This is specifically an all-wheel drive model versus an LX, two-wheel drive model. So you're looking at a difference of $1,500 to get that all-wheel drive versus the two-wheel drive. Now, the only big difference between that is gonna be when you land at the miles per gallon. It is gonna affect things, but outside of that, nothing to worry about. So before we go any further, I want to do two comparisons. One, I want you to understand that there is no difference between the engine that is in this car and the 2023 model, so you could buy a 23 and be the exact same off. The second part to that is I want to throw up a comparison so you can understand how this car stacks up to other makes and models out there in the world. So go ahead and take a look at that, and then we'll move on down the road. So if you're shopping for a new SUV, chances are MPGs are gonna become very important to you. So I wanna talk to you about that. In this specific vehicle, the all-wheel drive model, you get 27 in the city and 32 on the highway. Now, if you're going to a two-wheel drive model, you're looking at 28 in the city and 34 on the highway. So the difference of about a couple miles per gallon. Now, if you really wanna get crazy, you can go up to that hybrid trim, but you're gonna have to climb a couple trim levels to get there, which we'll talk about trim levels a little bit later. And that'll get you, I believe, 43 in the city and 36 on the highway. So there is something to be said for spending a little bit more to get a little bit more. So here I am in the back of this 2024 Honda CR-V, and chances are if you're looking at SUVs, cargo space is gonna become very important to you because it's usually a defining factor on what you buy. Now, this car has 39.3 cubic feet to the back seat, right? So right here. Now, if you're looking at a 2023, it's 39.2, so not a big difference. Now, if I shift over, you've got 76.5 cubic feet of space if I fold those seats down. If you were looking at the 2023 model, it'd be 75.8. So a little bit of a difference there to keep in mind. Now, while we're back here, I want to show you a couple things. One, this car does have carpeted floor mats. That comes standard in every Honda. Be aware of that. Not every make and model offers that. This is a cargo tray. This is something the dealership here has added to the car. If you're interested in adding something like this or all-season floor mats, check the description. I usually throw links in there to save you a little bit of money and buy some good items. Now, down below this, you've got your full diameter spare. So full height, just not full width. So this is one of those wheels where you can drive about 55 on it, unlike the donut where you're driving like 35. And back here, you've got your jack and your accessories, and it's magic funnel, which I want to explain. All right, guys, so the purpose of this magic funnel is actually not to play the trumpet or to use it as a shiwi or anything else. It's actually very simple. So if you're over at the gas cap and you run out of gas, I need a way to hold this open, right? Because there's a valve built into it. It's capless now. So that's where this comes into play. I would be able to put this in there and then pour gas into there, because chances are I might not have a gas can on me. All right, guys, so before we leave the back end of this car, I want to throw up a couple different things on the screen for you. One, I want to remind you the difference between the 2023 and the 2024. 39.3 cubic feet from this seat back on the 2023. 39.2 if you're looking at a 2023. So pretty much negligible. And then 76.5 cubic feet if we're going all the way to the back seats here. And then if you're in the 2023, you're looking at 75.8 cubic feet. So there is a bit of a difference there. Now, while we're back here, that second comparison I want to throw up is, hey, if I'm comparing this vehicle to other makes and models out there in the market, what does that look like? So first on the screen, I want to throw a comparison up with the seats up, right? That 39.3, how does that stack up to other makes and models for just standard cargo space? And then after you've taken a look at that, I want to flip the seats down and talk about how the 76.5 cubic feet stacks up to other makes and models out there in the world. So take a look at that and let's hop in the second row. All right, guys, so before we go any further, I want to explain the trim levels and how they're different in the 2023 versus the 2024 so that you can understand. And then, of course, hey, if I'm looking at this LX, which is what we're sitting in right now, and I want to go up to that EX, what am I getting? So it starts off with the base model, your LX model. Then above that, you have an EX model. Now above that, you have a Sport Hybrid model. Now above the Sport Hybrid, you have an EXL, which is also a hybrid model. Now new for 24 is the next trim, which is a Sport L trim. So understand that this exists in the 24, but not the 23. And then at the very top, you have the Sport Touring model, which is also a hybrid. So understand difference-wise trim level, they have added in that Sport L, which is the second from the top. Now, all of these trims are essentially $1,000 more for the 24 compared to the 23. So for a LX model, being that it's essentially the same car, same gas mileage, same engine, same almost dimensions, I would say shop for a 23. But I want you to understand that there are some differences when you start getting into other trim levels and things of that nature. Now, this car is an all-wheel drive model, which means it is $1,500 more than the two-wheel drive model. So I want you to understand that. This specific car, show you right here on the sticker, is $32,325, right? So that is the price of the car plus the $1,325 that you pay for destination on all Hondas. Now, if you're looking at the two-wheel drive model, should be $1,500 less than that, unless the dealership that you're shopping at adds on accessories and typical items of the car, which you'll typically see on like a windshield sticker or somewhere else, not the big Maroni sticker that you see right there. All right, guys, so here I am in the second row of this Honda CR-V, and it has got actually quite a bit of space to sit back here. Now, it's set up for 3, but let's be honest, it's 2 adults and a miniature dog at most. You're not really gonna put 3 adults back here, but you have the seat belts so that you can. Now, while I'm back here, I'll point out a couple things. Leg space-wise, I've got a good amount of space back here. You've actually got 41 inches of leg space in the back of this vehicle. In the 2023 model, it would have been 40.4, so there is a difference in the back. Now, this is an LX, so it is a cloth interior. You're seeing black right now, but I believe they offer 2 different versions as far as the interior colors on this vehicle. It does have a flip-down seat and your normal kind of accessories that you would expect, along with black along the door sills in black, with like a leather finish or a pleather finish here. So when you're rubbing elbows, it doesn't quite get it as dirty, just a little bit nicer feel. And then in the back, you do have air vents, which is extremely important here because it's like 104 degrees here in Austin, Texas today. You don't have any USBs back here, which is kind of a bummer, but there is a cap here, and I bet you could add them on as an accessory. So before we leave the second row and move into the front row, I want to just throw up a comparison so you can see how does this car stack up to others as far as second row leg space goes. This car, like I mentioned, has 41 inches of leg space in it, so you'll be able to take a look and see how it stacks up to others. And a reminder while that's up on the screen that if you were looking at a 2023 model, you'd be 40.4 inches versus the 41 inches. So pretty much negligible there, but understand that there is a minute difference as far as leg space in the second row. All right, guys, so let's talk about the front row and leg space. You've got 41.3 inches of leg space in this vehicle. If you're looking at a 2023, a 2022, pretty much all of them, I think it's been the same for quite a while. So understand that the leg space up here hasn't changed in a long time, but it is quite a bit. Now, while I'm by these front seats, I'll remind you that this is a manual seat and the seat behind you is also a manual seat. So if you were looking for a powered seat on the driver's side, you're gonna wanna go up to that EX model. And if you're looking for a powered seat on the other side, I wanna say you're gonna either have to come to the Sport Hybrid or the EXL. So understand that the trim levels are gonna affect which seats are powered, and then of course things like leather, interior, and so forth and so on. But while we're here, I wanna throw a comparison up so you can understand how this car's 41.3 inches of leg space stacks up to other makes and models out there in the world. So take a look at that, and then we'll go over some of the center stack and the amenities in the front of the car. All right, guys, so as far as amenities go in this car, you've got the classic, interior here that's a cloth finish, a little bit of a leather fill here and centered here. So kind of nice there, and then on your shifter. So that's a little bit different in previous generations, right? Coming across the dash, they changed this a couple years ago. The Civic started with this dash, which is a much cleaner look. So you just got one large panel where kind of all of the AC controls live, and then a couple AC buttons, and then your 7-inch touchscreen that is kind of sitting a little bit flat and a little bit more forward than in some of the previous generations of the vehicle. Now, in your center stack, you've got quite a bit of space down here. I got my phone sitting here, my sunglasses, and I've still got space. You've got a USB here, and then another power outlet right there. As far as through the center stack, you've got your drive modes. So you can press this and it'll give you a normal, an econ, or a snow. Econ is just going to affect the shifting points to give you better gas mileage, and then snow is also going to affect those shifting points to help you create and keep additional traction. Now, if you want to turn your idle, stop, start off, that is going to be this button right here. A reminder, every time you get in the car, you're going to have to do this. There's no way to like turn this completely off that I know of. You may be able to remove a fuse or something of that nature, but I've never really looked that deep into it. Hill start assist is going to live right here. So if you're sitting on a hill, that way you don't roll into somebody. Your parking brake is electronic. Pull up to set it, push down to release it, and then brake hold. Brake hold is set up to where if you're in stop and go traffic, you have to have your seatbelt on for this to work, but the car can remain in drive and it'll hold the brake for you until you press the gas. So kind of a cool feature. A couple cup holders here, a little bit of storage there for like a pen or so, and then I've got a nice big deep spot right here that I can store plenty of different things in. So kind of cool that they did that. One thing that they took away that I kind of miss is the shifting seat right here, or the armrest. You used to be able to slide it forward. So if you're a smaller person and you had to shift the seat real far forward, you could still use this, but they took that away, which is kind of a bummer. So today's video is sponsored by Carlinkit. These guys make dongles, right? So here's the box. This is what it comes in. This is what it looks like, right? So pretty small, right, as far as the size of this. What this does is give you the ability to take a car, much like this CR-V that I'm sitting in, that has a normal wired CarPlay or Android Auto setup, and make it wireless. You simply plug this into USB, connect via your phone, and then you are all done. You have a wireless setup. So let's hop on in and I'll show you exactly what that looks like. All right, guys, so step one is gonna be to take your dongle and plug it into your USB. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the USB-C in and plug this in, right? Now, the next part to this is gonna be coming into your phone and go to your Bluetooth settings. So I'm gonna use my Google Pixel Pro 7 here, and I'm gonna show you. I just go to Connect Devices, I go find AutoKit, right? And once I find that, hit Connect. So mine is now connected up, right? So easy enough. Once it's connected, then it will connect up to the screen, and I'll have my Apple CarPlay and Android Auto up and running via wireless, right? So this way I don't have to have any of those cords running around the dash, anywhere like that. I just plug in the USB and then I can tuck it away. And now I can take advantage of all those apps that you would normally take advantage of, right? So all of these things available to you if you want to. So if wireless CarPlay or Android Auto is something that you're interested in, Carlinkit makes a pretty cool dongle that is very easy to use. I am gonna throw the link to this item in the description of this video, along with my coupon code that will save you quite a bit of money on it. So this item is typically $85, I believe, on their website as we speak. And then using my coupon code, I'll get you down to $69.70. And then all you gotta pay is shipping depending on where you live. So if you wanna take advantage of this, please do go check out that link in my description and then use my coupon code, which is my name, Justin Fuller, and get yourself one. So here in a second, I'm gonna flip you around and I'm gonna show you the steering wheel, some of the controls in the cluster, and then the dash, but I wanna go over a couple safety features with these so you can understand what I'm about to show you. This car has quite a bit going for it, and it started off originally about 2015 where they added it into some of the higher models, and now it's in pretty much all of the models, and that's your Honda Sensing Suite. So this thing has got a frontal collision braking system, so if it detects anything in front of you, it can actually apply the brakes to help prevent you from rear-ending another car. You've also got adaptive cruise control, so when I'm going down, I can set my cruise, and it'll detect the car in front of me, so if I come up on a car and they're going 55 and I'm going 60, it'll slow me down and keep my designated space. So those two kind of work together, the collision mitigation braking and the adaptive cruise control. You can also switch that over to classic cruise, which I'll show you how to do in a second, but I want you to understand it has these features. You do have a lane keep assist feature, meaning it'll use a camera up here in the dash to detect the lines on the road. So if you start to drift out of a line because maybe you were talking to your kid, messing with your dog, your coffee spilt, whatever the case may be, it can help keep you centered. So kind of a cool set of features that this vehicle has. Now, depending on which levels you climb, you can also get things like blind spot monitoring in the mirrors, you know, parking sensors, things of that nature as you climb models, or if you want to add these things on as accessories. But in the base model, I want you to understand that you have those basic functions. Now, this car also, I believe, has 8 airbags now. So 2 front, 2 side, 2 full curtain, and 2 knee airbags. So kind of cool as far as safety goes there. And then something you probably won't hear a lot about, this car has what's called ACE body structure. It's specific to Hondas, and what it's designed to do is it has crinkle zones designed to where, you know, it'll crinkle and allow everything when it gets hit in an accident to shift out and around the car. The engine struts in the car are designed to drop so that the engine doesn't get pushed up in the car, it'll fall below and get pushed under. So it's really all about protecting who's inside of your car, right? Your loved ones. So that's kind of a cool feature, and it's kind of the reason that Honda's known for 2 things. 1, reliability and safety. A lot of these things are what make it up, because even in a base model like this, you're getting all of those features. All right, guys, so I want to talk about the steering wheel real quick and then the dash behind it that you're going to see. So on the left side back here in the cluster is going to be digital, and then it's going to be analog as far as your speedometer goes, but you've also got a digital speedometer there too. So just understand you're going to get it in 2 places. But I want to focus on some of these buttons right here. So when I press the home button, it's going to pull up the screen, and then I'm going to be able to scroll through using this. So when I'm showing you up there, I just want you to understand how I'm doing it. So let's jump over to that. So on the left side of the cluster right now, right over here, I just want to walk you through a couple different features and things that you can see. The first being the gauge display settings. This is just allowing you to affect what shows in here. So if there's certain things that you don't ever look at, then you can turn them off. So pretty basic to understand that. Your warnings, anytime a seatbelt is not on, a door is left ajar, if you will. If there was a cap on the gas cap and it was left loose, you would have seen that notification here. They are going to all appear here. Scrolling down, range and fuel, we all know what that. Speed and time, these are all related to just MPGs. Driver attention monitor, if you're using some of these safety features, it can just kind of monitor and make sure you're still grabbing the steering wheel, touching the gas, touching the brake, things of that nature. Since this is an all-wheel drive model, it will show you the distribution of power, whether it be in a two-wheel drive model, two-wheel drive fashion, I should say, or when it switches over to all-wheel drive, because it will do that automatically on its own. Seatbelts, this is kind of cool, landed in the car a couple years ago. It'll show you if anybody's in the car not wearing their seatbelt. Cool if you got little ones that are in the back, you can make sure that they're buckled up. Below that, maintenance, anytime you get down to 15% oil life, it'll give you a warning and throw you a code, A1, A2, B1, B2, that sort of thing. You can look those things up. This has been in Hondas forever, so that you can know before you go to the dealership or wherever what they're going to recommend you. Maybe it's just oil, maybe it's oil and filters, maybe it's tire rotation oil and filters, or whatever the case may be. Related to oil, you shoot about 8,500 miles before you need an oil change in the vehicle. Safety support, these are some of those features that I was mentioning earlier. So if I jump into this, this is where you're going to see those features. So right here, the road departure mitigation. If I start to drive off the shoulder of the road, it'll give me an audible alert and actually vibrate the wheel to say, hey, wake up, pay attention. A little bit different from your lane keep assist, which is identifying those lines on the road and keeping you centered. And then your collision mitigation braking system. That's what I was talking about earlier, which I just turned off. Understand you can turn all these off and on. This is going to be set up to where if I'm driving down the road and it's looking like I'm going to rear end somebody, it can give me an audible alert. It can flash in the dash and then actually apply the brakes to help prevent the accident. And then I can go to no content if I just want to clean this up and not see much, or brightness if I need to affect that, right? And then lastly, my settings, if I want to come in here and mess with anything. Vehicle settings, this is where we're going to get to like door locks, window lock controls, things of that nature. I actually have tips and tricks videos that'll explain all of this. I'll throw it up in here and it'll be in the description of the video if you ever want to check that out. All right, guys, so here we are on the touchscreen display, right? So nothing magical to look at as far as the basics to it. It's just kind of a two-tone gradient here that you can do. So whether you're using FM, whether you're using radio, right? You can jump through your basics there. If you want to go to your phone, if you're connected to Bluetooth, easy enough to get to and make your contacts. Media, if you want to hook up like a USB or a power outlet, or excuse me, if you want to hook up like a USB, maybe you want to go Bluetooth to a different device or whatever the case may be, you absolutely can. And then as far as establishing your connection, you do have wired CarPlay and Android Auto. So you can see that I have my Google Pixel, which I'm actually connecting up as we speak. All right, so I'm using Android Auto, so you are gonna see that on the screen because it is connected to my Google 7 Pro, just so you can get a basic understanding here. So what you're seeing up here right now is that I've got Spotify running, I've got some basic destinations, my last couple too, and then I've got Google Maps pulled up. Understand that you can flip-flop these as far as if you want your maps closer to you and your audio or whatever you listen to on the other side. I actually show how to do that in a tips and tricks video, pretty easy to do. Now jumping into here, I've got all these different apps set up and then I've got some shortcuts, right? These shortcuts are pretty cool. You can set them to like, hey, where's the nearest Starbucks? Well, boom, it'll pull up, it'll locate it, it'll run the prompt for you,
Starbucks
and then it'll
is
actually
9 minutes from your location by car in light traffic.
It'll actually start the navigation for you. So kind of cool that you can set these up. Super simple to do. If you've never seen how to do it, it's actually my tips and tricks videos. Understand that you can take advantage of options like these. You can change the background in here and all kinds of different stuff. Background's pretty easy to do. All you got to do is go to settings, come in here, find the wallpaper, and make your changes, right? So wallpaper, boom, go to it, and select a new one, and then you're good to go. Some of those other things that we talked about, you know, if you want to change the display and different things, they are in here. You just got to go to them. So understand, change layout, boom, you can jump into that. Media closer to driver or navigation closer to driver, whichever one you prefer, you can absolutely do, right? So now you can see I've switched those. So if you want to learn more about this, the basics to Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, if you don't know much about it, is that it allows you to pull some of your apps onto the dashboard to use them on the screen. So it's great to be able to take advantage of things like navigation systems, whether you're a Google Maps user, a Waze user, an Apple Maps user, a TomTom user, right? There's several different navigation systems that you can run on your dashboard here. And what's cool is because your phone updates automatically, you don't have to worry about navigation updates. As far as audio goes, you've got, you know, you can take advantage of, you know, Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora, like all these different music services, you can take advantage of that. And then your basics of making phone calls and doing things of that nature. I can take advantage of Google right there and ask Google to do anything that I would ask my phone to do. And if you're an Apple user, you could take advantage and use Siri. You also have the control button on the steering wheel, which you can press and hold until you hear the beep, and then ask Google or Siri to do those same things. So understand this. Now, if you want to learn some more tips and tricks related to this as far as how to establish these, change backgrounds, move stuff around, create shortcuts, create quick phone calls. If you want somebody to be able to call them immediately, you can do that. It's in my tips and tricks video, so I'm not going to go through all that and take up a bunch of time. So I'll throw that in the description. It's for a 2023, but the screen is the exact same in the 23 versus the 24, so it'll work the same. Something I always forget to mention when it comes to the screen is that you do have a backup camera. It's standard in cars now. It's been standard, I think, since 2013, but understand that the backup camera in a Honda has 3 different views on it. So should I do 3 like this? I saw on TikTok that only dudes throw 3s like this or like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw the 3 like that. Let's break that stereotype. Anyways, on here, you've got a wide angle view, standard backup camera, just normal views, and you're gonna see some lines here that I'll explain in a second, and then one aim straight down. This is super cool because this is gonna let you know where your hatch will open, if you're backing up to like a garage or anything like that, and this is if you're parallel parking, you want the car to be on the other side of this line. So you can see those same 2 lines right here. So I want you to understand that. And then when you're driving, this has dynamic lines on it, so when I cut the wheel, it's gonna cut these with me. So kind of helpful as far as backing up to make sure if you have things straightened out. All right, guys, so we made it through the full review of the 2024 Honda CR-V, specifically the LX model, and this one happens to be an all-wheel drive model. So I want to revisit all of the comparisons that we did in the video so that we can kind of refresh, and that way if you don't want to go back, I can go through them with you. So we're going to start at the front of the car. This has a 1.5 liter engine putting out 190 horsepower out of it. Now, if you're looking at a hybrid model, you're looking at 204 on the horsepower and a 2 liter, a little bit different setup as far as the generator goes. Now, I want to throw a comparison up so you see how this car stacks up to other makes and models out there in the world related to horsepower. Now, as you're taking a look at that, let's talk about miles per gallon. This car gets specifically 27 in the city and 32 on the highway. If you're looking at a two-wheel drive model, you're going to get 28 in the city and 34 on the highway. Or if you're jumping up that hybrid, I want to say it was 43 and 36, right? So some significant gas changes as far as the hybrid model goes. But I want you to understand, how does this vehicle stack up to other makes and models out there in the world? So I'm going to throw that up on the screen so you can see. Now, after we talked about that, I want to talk to you about front leg space in the vehicle as we work our way back. This one has 41.3 inches of leg space in it. So I'm going to throw up that comparison so you can see how this car stacks up to other makes and models out there in the world. Now, while that's on the screen, I'll remind you that whether you're in a 2023 or a 2024, it does not matter. The leg space is the exact same. Now, when we jump into the second row of this vehicle, things change a little bit. This car has 41 inches of leg space in the back. So I'm gonna throw up that comparison so you can see how this car stacks up to other makes and models out there in the world. While that's on the screen, I'll remind you that if you were looking at a 24, which has 41 inches of leg space in the back, versus a 2023, it's gonna have 40.4 inches of leg space. So a little bit different as far as the leg space goes. Now, as we move into the very back, cargo space. Two different cargo spaces that we're going to compare. The first one is, hey, if I've got the seats folded up, the standard cargo space, this has 39.3 inches of of cubic cargo space in it. So I'm going to throw up a comparison and see how this car stacks up to other makes and models out there in the world. While that's on the screen, I'll remind you that if you're going to a 2023, it's 39.2. So it's almost negligible the change as far as the cargo space there. Now, if you fold the seats down, this car has 76.5 cubic feet of cargo space in the back. So I'm going to throw up that comparison so you can see how this car stacks up to other makes and models out there in the world. While that's up on the screen, I'll remind you that this car has 76.5 cubic feet of space. Now, if you're going to that 2023, it's 75.8 cubic feet of space. So not a ton difference there, but there is something. So I just want you to be aware of that. Now, the big changes for the 2024 versus 2023 are really just two things. When we really break it down, it's two big things. One, they added in the Sport L trim, which is the second from the top. So if you're looking at an LX, probably doesn't play a role for you. And two, all of them are now like $1,000 and some change more expensive. So if you're looking at a 2023 LX and EX and EXL, it behooves you to buy the 2023, and let's be honest, as more 24s roll in, they're probably going to discount those further anyways. So as we head on out of here, I want to ask you for a couple favors. One, I hope you'll press that like button to help push this car review further up in the algorithm, because it does help me get my name out there, and of course, hey, hopefully this content is helping you and others. Second, I hope you leave a comment. If you have questions, comments, concerns, please do leave a comment, or if you think I'm doing a pretty good job, leave a comment and let me know that too. A little positive reinforcement goes a long way. Third, I hope you'll share this video. If you find that it's helpful for you to, hopefully it'll be helpful to others. So if you find a platform that you're on where some others could use it, share it. And then lastly, I hope you'll subscribe to the channel so that I can let you know about these good videos when I put them out. So I hope you will like, comment, subscribe, share, all of the things. Later, guys!